This tank is a VK100-01P. This is a Tier 8 German heavy tank, and the map is Karelia. This is a standard battle mode. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to the east side, and I think I'm going to discover a position that I've never used before, because I don't like to play heavy tanks. And I don't like to do brawling, and I don't like to play in this position. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to see what we find. And this is basically the position right here. I noticed when I came out here that there were all these bushes. I'm going to show you where I'm located. There's all these bushes over here, and you can easily play and snipe on enemy tanks without being spotted. So you can see I damaged the Yag Tiger for 427 damage. I was not spotted. They are at the edge of my spotting range. And I don't like to use the APCR rounds, so I'm going to be using regular rounds. And I've tracked this tank twice, but I haven't gotten any assistance damage from tracking him. Really no other choice. Okay, there's some tracking damage right there. So he's been stuck in that position. Now we're seeing some damage on him. And he's actually pretty low on hit points. He's got half of his hit points left. And he's been stuck there for a while. And now he's a one-shot. And he's out of the game. Okay, so I got 1,700 assistance damage against the Type 4 Heavy. Now, because that Type 4 Heavy is a one-shot, I would use an APCR round to kill him and get him out of the game. Okay, so that's the sniping position. This tank is the FV4005 Stage 2. This is a British Tier 10 tank destroyer, and the map is Klondike, which is a grand battle map. The player of this game is Unkind of the Odin 6 clan. I'm going to speed it up. We're going to show you a sniping position that you can use when you play this map. This is a relatively slow tank. He's only going 30 kilometers per hour. So it's going to take a little bit of preparation to get into the position that he wants to play in. You can see that you have a nice view of the enemy field from this position. He got one hit on the Object 705A for 1,077 damage. He does have a long reload, relatively long reload, and he has pretty good cover over here. He's going to get spotted. He's going to have to react quickly. He's not using a camo net. He's probably going to need his allies to do spotting for him. He's going to have issues with gun depression. There's the next customer. Unfortunately, he missed that shot, and he took some damage in return. He should knock those trees down in order to get a little bit of additional cover. And he should have fired sooner against that tank. That was 1,741 damage against the T-110E4. He's up to 2,800 damage in the first 3 minutes of the game. Now, one of the things that I do is I time my reload so I arrive in the firing position when I'm ready to fire. I don't get there early. He's getting there a little bit early, which does allow you time to aim. Unfortunately, that tank was taken out of the game before he could damage it. There are some tanks to his right that he will be unable to shoot at, but he's able to get the tanks as they're approaching the battle area. They have to cross in front of him in order to get there. And they don't have the gun depression until it's too late. That was 754 damage against the IS-4. He's up to 3,500 damage. He got hit for 611 damage, and he used his first aid kit to repair his gunner. He's pretty low on health. He's taken around 1,200 damage so far. Now, that tree was knocked down, but it wasn't knocked down in a position that gives him favorable camouflage. And unfortunately, he waited a little bit too long, which his aiming reticule turned from green to red, which means he did not penetrate on his shot. He is getting some spotting damage. The enemy artillery knows he's here. They know he's on low health. They know he's lightly armored, and he's very deadly. That was 1,073 damage on the E-100. And I don't believe he was spotted. He's up to 4,600 damage. Nice. If only it were green. He is playing with higher penetrating HESH rounds, which is something that you do want to be aware of if you do decide to play this position, because you have to hit the strong turrets of those tanks. You're going to be hitting hard armor. Nice, 568 damage, and he wasn't spotted. He's up to 5,200. These tanks are actually at relatively close range. They're around 150 meters away from him. He's probably been hitting tanks averaging around 200 to 250 meters. That was 1,800 damage at 265 meters. He is on a losing flank. The enemy is advancing on his flank. He's got, is it 1 or 2 allies left? It's hard to see. I believe there's at least 2 allies left. He's going to have to get out of there. He's going to have an exit plan. He's more likely to get spotted. Act fast. Don't wait. Got 525 damage on the E-100. The enemy tanks have low hit points. They do have the advantage. Oh, he got spotted. Very risky. Okay, so let's move on to the next video. This tank is a WZ-113GFT. This is a Chinese, this is a Chinese Tier 10 tank destroyer, and the map is Hinterland. This is not me playing. This is another player. His name is MRN Sniper, and I have not watched this replay before, so I'm going to be calling it as I see it. Basically, we're going to see what type of sniping he does. About half of the game, he's going to be sniping from long range. He has 25 regular rounds, 5 premium rounds, and 5 high explosive rounds. He carries a small repair kit, a small first aid kit, and a food consumable. These teams, this is a grand battle mode. The teams are either 24 per side or 30 per side, somewhere between that range. Okay, so he's taken up a hill in the B9 area. And of course, it's too early to know if this is a good position or what will happen, how far the enemy will advance in the game. But it looks like the enemy has advanced in the game. So basically what we're seeing is that the enemy spawn on the east side is a little bit further north than on the west side. So the enemy can get to these positions before the allies can, which means that this should be a good sniping position. He should be able to sit here for a good portion of the game without worrying about chasing enemy targets across the map. He's already got 763 damage, and he did set the Object 430U on fire for 82 damage. Because he's using the AP rounds, they're likely to bounce off the turret of that tank. If he were using a premium round or a high explosive round, he's more likely to do damage. So that was 714 damage on the AMX 13105. We've got a tank out in the open, the STB-1. He should be able to get a lot of damage on that tank. So he did get 755 damage. You'll notice that because he's a tank with a relatively long reload, he's decided not to play behind a bush, but he's using the slope of the hill to defend himself. He's not worrying about the fact that he's exposing himself as he crests over the hill, and he's not using a camo net. And unfortunately, it's not possible to tell what equipment he's using in the game. He has been hit by the arty on 2 occasions, so he is a target for artillery. It's only been 3 minutes in the game. He's already gotten 2,677 damage, and he has 856 spotting damage. That was a hit for 363 on the Object 430U. And he takes the STB-1 out of the game for 171 damage. So he's up to 2848 damage. This seems to be a pretty good sniping position. He waited a little bit longer than I would have to fire. I would have fired a lot quicker than that. And unfortunately, he didn't hit it. He must have. I don't know if he hit the. He must have hit the track, but he didn't do any damage on that shot. Nice. Well, he missed that shot, which is unfortunate. It was a well-aimed shot. He should have connected with something. He's got a second chance here. That was 659 damage on the T-57 Heavy. He's up to 3,500 damage. And that tank was taken out of the game by another player. That was 807 damage plus 149 assistance damage on the Grill 15. He was a little bit slow. He was repositioning his tank, so he did hit that tank a little bit slower. He could have hit it sooner. I advocate hitting tanks as quickly as possible. It increases your DPM. That was 728 damage and 153 spotting damage on the Jagdpanzer. For example, he could have killed that tank if he was a second ahead of his game. He's over 5,000 damage at this point. And he is working on a mission for the Excalibur. I'm guessing he probably already has the Object 268 because he's not working on any missions for the first campaign. Sadly, that did not penetrate. Yeah, I didn't think he would get a shot out of that. He had a problem with his gun depression. Nice. Okay, so this is getting out of the scope of sniping positions. He did 5,300 damage and 1,465 damage, plus he got 3 kills. This tank is the E50. This is a German Tier 9 medium tank, and the map is Ensk, or Minsk. It's Minsk. I am going to show you a sniping position that you can play. I'm going to fast forward. This is one of the newer maps, so I haven't played it very often, and I haven't discovered all the sniping positions yet. And this is not going to be a wonderful position. This is going to be a position where you might not get any action. It depends on how aggressive the enemy is. And you have to be careful. You could get caught in a crossfire. If you get spotted, you could have tanks behind you shooting at you. In terms of the E50, there's a lot of people who love this tank. I really don't like it. I don't enjoy playing it. I can't wait to get rid of it. I might not get the E50M. Now, one of the good things about this position is there are a lot of bushes that you can hide behind. The enemy is really advancing, which is going to give me a lot of targets over here. I thought I was unspotted. I don't understand how I got hit. So here we have another gap where you can hit tanks as they cross through that gap. And we do have a hull down position right here. Nice, I'm glad I got that. Now you notice that I'm not parking directly in the opening because there is a tank that might be behind me, and I don't want to get surprised from behind. I did get 1,158 damage. I only hit apparently 3 tanks. I hit 3 tanks. So we're going to watch for him to cross in those gaps. Scores 5-4. So it looks like we're running low on targets. Okay, let's move on to another video. This tank is the M48 Patton. This is an American Tier 10 medium tank, and the map is Highway. This tank is similar to the Pershing series of tanks. And I really like the Tier 8 Pershings. In terms of the Tier 10 Patton, I'm not a big fan of it. I haven't played it very much. I probably haven't had it very long. I don't think I've had a lot of games with it. So I'm not really a lover of this tank yet. But we are going to look at a sniping position that you can play on this particular map. One of the positions that I like to play is under the bridge. And I've had a lot of great games over here. I wish there were more cover over here. Unfortunately, I got spotted. I didn't take any damage. I blocked the shot from that grill. But I could easily get hit again. And I didn't go directly to the bridge because my plan was not to play at the bridge. I was going to play in the bushes. You notice that if you get spotted over here, you could easily hide. You just go under the bridge. Got some nice targets over here. That really hurts. 689 damage I received from that 60 TP. But you can see it is a pretty good sniping position. I can snipe at some tanks up there in the corner. Might otherwise think they're safe. I did get spotting damage on that grill. Part of playing is to do damage, and part is to allow your allies to do damage. So both will help in the game. And playing a position, because I have coded optics and situational awareness and recon and BIA and things like that, I'm really helping my team out when I spot the enemy. Okay, so it looks like all the tanks on the enemy team are gone, so let's move on to the next position. This tank is a Jagd Tiger. This is a German Tier 9 tank destroyer, and the map is Prokhorovka. This tank is similar to the Jagd Tiger 8.8, so if you do buy that tank or rent that tank or play that tank, the play style is similar. However, with this you can get a gun that does a lot more damage, it has a longer reload. So because I've played the Jagd Tiger for 5 years, and it's one of my most played tanks, I have a lot of experience playing this style of tank. Now what we're doing is we're advancing along these bushes, along the train tracks. I don't like playing here. I really don't recommend playing here. If you get spotted, you're going to get pummeled by enemy tanks, especially if you're too close. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to get a little bit too close, and it's very difficult to be safe over here. So watch out when you play along those trees. I haven't found the magic sniping position from that area. Might be good in a lower tier, but in a higher tier, I don't recommend it. So I decided to try this position. There is a lot of risk because you can get spotted by tanks that are in the middle of the map. You can get spotted by light tanks that decide to run into the cap. You don't have perfect coverage of the hill, but I am capping. So I am putting pressure on the enemy team. You do want to use capping as a strategy to force the enemy's hand. You want to force somebody on the enemy team to leave their position, to take one gun out of the game. I'm still going to be sniping. I'm in a sniping position right here. If they advance, I'm going to nail them and I'm going to hit them hard. You do have to watch out for artillery. And don't be so committed to the cap that you're willing to take a lot of damage. And don't be committed to the cap to the point where you're going to die here. So you notice that the E100 showed up. So he had to leave his position, and he got spotted, and he's taking damage because he had to stop the cap counter. The IS-7 is not in a good position. I want to talk about the IS-7 real quick. He shouldn't be right there. He should be right where the bush is, that's directly in the middle of the map where the green dot is. That is a good position. I play there all the time. Not as good as it used to be, but it's still a good position. I have high explosive rounds loaded because I expect to hit the strong turrets of those tanks, and the AP rounds might not do it. So you notice that I did leave the cap. My commander was injured. I only did 29 damage to the E100 and 161 spotting damage. That's because I had the high explosive rounds loaded, which was not appropriate for that type of an enemy, especially since the obstacles in the way, like the fences, can prevent that round from hitting the enemy. So I retreated to this position, knocked some trees down. I'm close enough to the cap. I was slow to repair my commander. Close enough to the cap that I can still defend the cap. I have about half of my hit points remaining. We got another spotting damage on that E100 for 484, so I'm up to 645 spotting damage. I am equipped on all of my tanks for the maximum view range, so I will get good spotting for my allies, and that's one of the reasons why I play in positions that are close to the front lines. Advance a little bit. Okay, now we got a customer showing up. Weak side armor. I did 440 damage against that tank. I don't recall if I was spotted or not. Again, any of their tanks that advance are going to get hit. Except for that one. He's not as safe as he thinks he is. So I missed my shot on that tank, the T-44. Still helping my allies. Now the AMX 5100, if he were smart, what he would try to do is focus more on spotting and less and hiding, and try not to be vulnerable. You also want to give him a chance to reload before you do anything stupid. He might have a 40-second reload. So if you want to go spot a tank and expect him to back you up, make sure he's reloaded before you do that. And he's out of the game. So now we don't have a spotter or a sniper up on that hill. But there are enemy tanks that are still up on that hill. Scores 4 to 6. I've only done 469 damage, and I got 645 spotting damage. So I did block the capture. The E100 is probably still on the base, and he's not in a firing position. There's absolutely no one that E100 can shoot at. So I did 396 damage on the T-30 plus 327 spotting damage. I missed my chance to determine where that tank was before he became unspotted. So I can't fire a blind shot at him. We've got a lot of tanks up there. The best thing to do is spot. I did not get spotted. Maybe I was already spotted, I don't know. That was 425 damage. I'm up to 1,800. I'm trying to angle my armor a little bit, and I was taken out of the game. Okay, now you're going to say I didn't have that great of a game. I did 1,800 damage, 1,100 spotting damage. I didn't do that. I didn't have that great of a game, and I'm showing you this replay because I want you to compare this with the other position, which I pointed to earlier where the IS-7 was. The other position is better. This position is not as good. It's a much riskier position, especially if you're going to get spotted. So I don't recommend this position. However, you should play it to see what it's like. There is a position over there. You see where that Emil is. There's a little house and there's some bushes. You can play in that position also. I've played in that position. I'm not 100% decided yet if I like that position. I need to practice that a little bit more.